Welcome. What a busy year. I've been working on my new album called Afterglow, which is going to be released mid 2022. And I've released 2 singles already out of it. I put the links down in the description. But I promised you last time in the studio tour that I'm going to update you on new gear I've acquired. And today is the first episode of the new gear kind of videos. And today it's about the Korg Delta. What is the Korg Delta? The Korg Delta is a string synthesizer, very, very famous in the 80s. Lots of productions used them. Obviously, the most famous one is the Solina string synthesizer, and everyone kind of jumped onto the bandwagon, right? So you had the Krumar Multiman, you had the Moog Opus 3, which I showed you in one of the studio tour videos. And of course, Korg also needed to jump onto the bandwagon, and they released the Delta. So the Delta is a string synthesizer with a kind of synthesizer section as well. Quickly show you all the features there are. This is unprocessed, the sound you're hearing, so it's the Delta pure, and it has a joystick, which is rather rare on string synthesizers. So you can actually pitch bend it, and you can modulate it, and you can also use noise to modulate the sound. And there's various controls on how the joystick should interact with the synth. Then you have a modulation generator with vibrator depth and speed. Obviously you have the tuning knob. You can tune it up 1 octave if you want to. Then there is the synthesizer section. Now that is a polyphonic synthesizer because it's a divide down octave kind of instrument, like basically all string synthesizers. And so it has a signal generator, which gives you 16, 8, 4, and 2 square waves and a white noise. And then it has a classical envelope generator, a tag decay sustain release. You can set the synth to either follow the envelope or to follow an organ type of pattern on off. And you can have single and multiple trigger mode. Now, why is that important? While it claims to be kind of polyphonic, actually there's only one filter and one VCA. So it's like the poly D over here. So it's called paraphonic, right? So while you have all the tones, you still, for shaping the tones, you have only one VCA and one VCF. So you need some way of to re-trigger it if you leave keys lying. So there's a filter here, cutoff frequency, resonance, envelope generator depth, band pass or low pass, and then there is a key follow, which is either off or on. Over here we have the string section. There's octave balance, so you can kind of blend between 16 and 8 foot. There is attack and release. There is an equalizer in here, low and high band. Again, there's a trigger mode. Same thing like for the synth. There's only one VCA to shape the sound. And then there is a mix section, which allows you to mix and blend the synthesizer and the strings. And there is a power on off and the volume button. That's it. That's all the instrument has. And so let's get into it. So this is how the synth section sounds. And you hear already, if I leave that lying, the others don't have that bleep because the envelope generator does not start to re-trigger. You can set that to multiple trigger, then it sounds like that. Which also means that the lowest note, which I held, gets re-triggered. And then I said there's a organ section and ADSR section. So it really depends whether you want to have it like an organ sound type sound or whether you want to have a release time. Right? Compared to that, it's always the same. Now, I think the sound is actually quite horrible. It's a typical organ sound. And then you have 8, of course. And 4. And 2. And then, of course, you can mix those, and then it's like, I mean, what do you do with an organ? So it's additive synthesis. It's basically what good old Hammond organ over there does with sine waves. It's done here with square waves. Now, the interesting thing is you can generate a sawtooth by having 16 all the way up and then following with a little less with the 8, 4, and 2, and suddenly you get a kind of a sawtooth. Because you're adding these different harmonics and it gives you a sawtooth, right? And then there's white noise as well. So it's basically what you would expect from a synth, just much more lousy. Then there's modulation and bend. And you can also modulate with white noise, which gives you quite an interesting effect, actually. So that's the synth section, right? It has a resonance on the filter, of course. And you can change the envelope depth, and that's about it, right? So very basic. It has band pass and low pass. So it's this typical Korg filter you also found on others of their synths. And so then there's the string section. So the string section sounds like that. As you would expect from a string ensemble. And as I said, there is no other effects on this. This is like, that's how it sounds. And again, there is an octave balance, so you can mix the 16-foot and the 8-foot. And the whole synth needs some love. I have not yet had time to give him some love and clean the pots and things like that, but that's going to happen. And then, of course, you have the attack and the decay. And an equalizer. And then, of course, you can mix the synth and the strings. This is the strings. Now I'm bringing the synth. So that's basically it. It's a string synth. Now you can beef up the sound a bit with pedals. Like what usually people did was they attached a small stone phaser to these. I don't have a small stone, but I have the Behringer VP1, which basically is a copy of the small stone phaser. And when I bring it in, the volume will go down, but you get the phasing sound. Right, so it's instant Jean-Michel Jarre, I would say. If you want to beef it up a little bit more, you can actually bring in a chorus. So this is without chorus, and this is with chorus. So that's basically it. That's the Korg Delta. And I hope you enjoyed that little demonstration. You can pick them up actually pretty cheap. I got mine for, I think, around 600 euros. It's monophonic, right? It's monophonic, so don't expect a stereo output here. So if you add a stereo chorus, then obviously you get a much better effect. There are separate outputs for the synths and the strings. There's a phone out, there's a trigger in and trigger out, and there is a input for modulating the filter. And yeah, that's it. That's the Korg Delta. And of course, as usual, I forgot, if you like the video, please subscribe and hit the bell button. Thank you. Have a great vacation. Have a great Christmas where you're celebrating it. And happy holidays everywhere else. Bye-bye.